Hello, I am Teacher Chris and welcome to this International Cup coverage with Open English. As many of you know, there is a very world famous cup competition that is starting this November. So I have transformed from Teacher Chris into Journalist Chris to give you all of the information about this special international tournament and also teach you English along the way. So, in this video, we will talk about the structure of this International Cup competition. We will also talk about the teams involved in this International Cup competition. And we will talk about predictions for who is going to win this International Cup competition. We will also be discussing 3 different English topics. We will be teaching vocabulary, we will be teaching pronunciation, and we will be teaching grammar. I would also like to add that we have a very special guest with us today, one of the best football players on the entire planet. Yes, that's right, we have the one and only Cristiano Hughes. Thank you very much, Teacher Chris. It's a pleasure to be here. So, let's begin by discussing the history and the structure of this world famous cup competition. I will also be teaching you some vocabulary words which are essential when talking about football, or soccer if you are using American English. The first International Cup competition was held in Uruguay in 1930. Uruguay were also the winners of the International Cup that year. Ever since then, the International Cup competition has taken place every 4 years, with some exceptions during the Second World War. The modern format that we see today in this International Cup competition consists of 32 teams split into 8 groups of 4. This stage of the tournament is called the group stages, and this is the first vocabulary word I want to teach: the group stages of the tournament. The top 2 teams from each group will then advance to the next round. The next round of games are now called the knockout round. The reason being, if you lose, you're out, knocked out of the competition. So the knockout round consists of the round of 16, the quarter-final, the semi-final, the third place playoff, and finally the final. So, now that we've spoken about the structure and format of this International Cup competition, let's talk about some of the teams involved and our expectations. So, which teams do we think are going to win this International Cup competition? In English, we can use the term the favourites. Who are the favourites to win the tournament? So, the favourites implies the teams most likely to win the tournament. So, Cristiano Hughes, who are the favourites for this year's International Cup competition? I mean, this competition gets harder every 4 years with some very, very strong teams. But if I have to pick 3 favourites for this year's tournament, I would say France, Brazil, and Argentina. Obviously, some of the players for these teams are world class, and they are definitely the favourites for this year's tournament. I mean, yes, I couldn't agree more with you. I couldn't agree more. So, now that we've spoken about the favourites for this year's tournament, let's move on to our next vocabulary word, the underdogs. The underdogs. So, who are the underdogs in a sporting competition? The underdogs are the opposite of the favourites. The team or person least likely to win is the underdog. So, Cristiano, who are your underdogs for this year's tournament? My underdogs for this year's tournament, I would have to say Qatar. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Qatar. They are in this competition because they are the host nation of this world famous cup competition. So it will be very difficult for them. I also think that Australia are going to find this year's competition very difficult, as well as Costa Rica. I mean, a very small Central American country. They play some fantastic football, but when compared with the big boys like Argentina, England, France, Brazil, I think they will find this year very difficult. So my underdogs, Qatar, Australia, and Costa Rica. Okay, very interesting. Well, we shall see, we shall see. So let's move on to our next vocabulary topic, which is the dark horses. The dark horses. Yes, you heard correctly. So, who are the dark horses in a sporting competition? The dark horses are the underdogs, but the underdogs who can surprise us. So the underdogs who have a good chance of winning, even though they are the underdogs. So, Cristiano, back to you. Who are this year's dark horses? Yes, everybody loves the dark horses, don't we? Yes, I mean, I would say this year's competition, the dark horses have to be Senegal, mainly because of Sadio Mane, but they have a very strong team. I think African teams also play with a lot of energy, a lot of physicality, so they are definitely one of the dark horses to watch. And I also believe Wales are going to be the dark horses of this year's competition. We saw that 4 years ago, they reached the semi-finals. They have Gareth Bale, they have Aaron Ramsey. I think, yes, Wales and Senegal will be the dark horses this year. Okay, I mean, that would be very, very exciting to see, wouldn't it? That would be an incredible thing to see one of the dark horses win this year's International Cup competition. So, now let's move on to the next part of this video, talking about pronunciation. So, I have chosen one team from every group in this world famous cup competition and would like to help you with the pronunciation of that country. So let's begin. First of all, in Group A, we have the Netherlands. The Netherlands. The Netherlands. So Cristiano, what are the chances of the Netherlands? I think the Netherlands have a very good team, but I think it's a very young team. I don't think this year's tournament they are going to win it. I mean, I don't think they're going to do badly. They have a very good team. Frenkie de Jong is someone I want to mention, obviously, a great player for Barcelona. I just think their team is a bit too young this year, but the next 4 years for the next International Cup competition, I think Netherlands will definitely be one of the favourites. Okay, very good point, very good point. So let's move on to Group B. In Group B, we have Wales. Wales, Wales. Cristiano, what are the chances of Wales in this year's tournament? Yes, as mentioned earlier, I think Wales are one of the dark horses of this tournament, mainly for Gareth Bale. I mean, he is now playing in the United States of America, but still at the top of his game, still one of the best players in the world, and with Wales and him up front playing as a striker or leading the line for Wales, they have a very good chance. It's true, we can never doubt Gareth Bale, never doubt Gareth Bale. So, let's move on to Group C, where we have Poland. Poland, Poland. Cristiano, what are the chances of Poland? Well, yes, if we speak about Poland, there's only really one man we're going to talk about, which is, of course, Robert Lewandowski, one of the greatest number 9s in the history of football, sometimes maybe underrated because of Messi and Ronaldo, but he is definitely up there with that level of player, one of the best number 9s in the world, 34 years old, still scoring goals for Barcelona. Yes, him and Poland this year will be dangerous. Yes, this also might be his last tournament, his last International Cup tournament, so definitely one to watch. Let's move on to Group D, where we have Denmark. Denmark. Cristiano, what are the chances of Denmark? I think Denmark will struggle this tournament, but I do obviously want to mention Christian Eriksen, who not only is a fantastic footballer, incredible midfielder, obviously after the heartbreak of 2 years ago in the European Cup competition, where he suffered a heart problem on the pitch and had to nearly retire from football. I just want to wish Christian Eriksen all the best of luck for this year's tournament and just hope that he stays safe. Yes, completely 100% agree, and fingers crossed we have no incidents like that at this year's competition. All the best to all of the football players, and we hope you stay safe. So let's move on to Group E. Group E, we have Japan. Cristiano, what are Japan's chances? I think Japan are another one of the underdogs in this tournament. However, I would like to single out Kaoru Mitoma, the winger for Japan, mainly because he plays for one of the best, one of the greatest football teams in the world. Yes, of course, Brighton and Hove Albion in the English Premier League. Teacher Chris, I know you're a fan of Brighton and Hove Albion, so obviously Kaoru Mitoma is someone we will be keeping an eye on. Yes, I can definitely agree that Brighton and Hove Albion are the best team in the world. So yes, we will be watching out for that player. So let's move on to Group F, where we have Morocco. Cristiano, what are Morocco's chances this year? I think Morocco are another one of the underdogs in this competition, yes. However, we do need to look at Hakim Ziyech, the Chelsea player, former of Ajax. I mean, maybe he hasn't been at the same level of performance at Chelsea as he was at Ajax, but if anybody saw him play at Ajax, we know the level that he can play at, and if he can play at that level for Morocco this year, then yes, it will be very exciting to watch. Yes, very well said, and of course no African team has ever won this competition, so let's watch for Morocco. So let's move on to Group G, where we have Switzerland. Cristiano, tell us about Switzerland. Switzerland, I really like Switzerland. They, in my opinion, they never have a world-class player, but they always have a very good team. They always, as the 11 players on the pitch and the squad in general, they always play very well. Obviously, the player at the moment to watch is Granit Xhaka, the Arsenal captain, or ex-Arsenal captain, sorry. So yes, with him leading the Swiss team, I think they will do very well this tournament. Yes, you're 100% correct. It will be difficult for them, but we can never rule anybody out. So let's move on to the last group, Group H. We have South Korea. South Korea. So, Cristiano, talk us through South Korea's chances. South Korea, well, if we talk about South Korea, we're going to talk about one man. Obviously, yes, Son Heung-min for Tottenham Hotspur and South Korea. I mean, just incredible player this year and last year and the year before, the previous few seasons for Tottenham Hotspur. He has been incredible. Let's not forget, he was the top scorer in the English Premier League last year. So I think, yes, South Korea with Son Heung-min will be very exciting to watch as well. Yes, completely correct. He has been sensational these last few seasons with Tottenham Hotspur, so we'll see how he does in this International Cup competition. So, there you have the countries with the difficult pronunciations, and lastly we are going to discuss some grammar and how to make predictions in English. So, when we are watching sporting competitions, and especially this world famous cup competition, we want to make predictions about who is going to win the tournament or who is going to score the most goals in the tournament. So, how do we know whether to use will or going to make predictions in English? Here is a tip to help you. If you don't have any knowledge of the subject and or you don't have any evidence, we would use will. It's more of a guess than a prediction. For example, I don't know anything about football. I think Brazil will win. Because I don't have knowledge on the subject and I don't have any evidence, I would use will. However, Cristiano Hughes is a professional footballer, a world famous professional footballer. So if I ask him the question, he would use going to because he has knowledge of the subject. For example, Cristiano, who do you think is going to win this year's International Cup competition? So I think Argentina are going to win the Cup. Yes, I'm using going to, as you said, Teacher Chris. They have Messi, they have Di Maria, they have such an incredible team, but mainly it's Lionel Messi. I think this is his last International Cup competition. So I think with Lionel Messi as the captain of Argentina, yes, I definitely think that they are going to win this International Cup competition. Thank you very much, Cristiano. Thank you very much indeed. So there you have the grammar section of this video, making predictions in English. In this video we have gone through some very important vocabulary related to football and this world famous cup competition. We have also discussed some pronunciation of the countries involved in this international tournament, and finally the grammar of how to make predictions. So I would like to say thank you very much to Cristiano for joining us here today. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here. And thank you to everybody watching, and we will be back again after the group stages. So enjoy the tournament and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.